Hi, and welcome to a new video talking about the mouse over events in the JavaScript event series. So, if you're new to the channel, kindly like and subscribe. We're giving out tons of values and a lot of tips will be shared in this video. Alright, so a mouse over event is a type of event in JavaScript that is triggered when a user moves their mouse over an element or group of elements on a web page. Now you see, depending on how the developer has actually set up the, the event, certain actions or group of actions or changes will actually occur in response to that user interaction of hovering their mouse, over that element. So now let's take for example Coursera now. Okay, they also they implemented a mouse over event on their explore tab here. So if you can see my cursor here, just moving here, you can see you don't have to click on anything, but once the mouse is over this element, this button element of explore, this is what happens. All right, so that's an example of a mouse over event. So why should you use a mouse over event? So you should use a mouse over event to actually enhance user interactions and provide immediate feedback without actually requiring your users to click on something before they actually see the results. So it's particularly useful if you want to reveal additional information. Such an example is kind of like for tooltips, also to highlight interactive elements, to show like a preview content. I think you see something like this in like e-commerce websites whereby you hover over a product on an image and it shows you various slides of images. So another reason why you should also use it is maybe if you want to trigger a subtle visual change on your elements on your web page. So when do you use this mouse over event? You use it when you want to you want to improve your user experience with instant responses without having them to click on an element, or you want to guide users through a complex user interface. You want to create interactive and dynamic web elements. The use cases are actually much, or depending on the project you're working on. So in this video we'll just be talking about three use cases, and that is tooltips, navigation menu, and form field assistance. And you see, one thing about this tooltip is when you want to pass like additional information to users, when they mouse over an icon or a piece of text, then a small info box pops up. So on our web page, you can actually go there to find out more additional information about the mouse over event. It's go very in depth into it, so you can see a more in-depth definition for mouse over importance, and this kind of like a use case of the syntax in JavaScript. So basically, this is how it looks like in pure vanilla JavaScript, the mouse over. So now for line 1, say let element be equals to document.get element by ID. So as you know, we're entering the DOM, we're getting the element by ID, and we've given it an ID of my element, storing that into the element variable, and then we attach an event listener. So this event listener is a method in JavaScript that kind of like listens to what kind of event what has been attached to that element. And there's various elements, but in this, where the add event listener is actually listening for the mouse over event, and once it listens for that, okay, then we'll pass in a function of set of actions of or what we want the element to perform or the user to see once the event has been triggered. And here we just did a very simple action, which is just console log mouse is over the element. So depending on what you're working on, you can have various changes here, various actions set up here. All right, let's dive into an example. All right, so let's work with the first one. Two tips. All right, since in this video we are basically just we just want to explore the mouse over syntax in JavaScript. So this HTML and the CSS code has already been prepared, so I will not be writing that from scratch, or I'm going to be leaving a link in the description to this code on GitHub, so you can check it out if you want to see the finished code or you want to practice with it. So in this example, it's just something very simple. So let's just cancel. All right, two tips. All right, so we just have a div with a text hover over me. Now this is what we want to display once the user hovers over this text. Now once the mouse over event is triggered, we want this to display to the user. So right now you can't see anything. Once the mouse has entered this, once the mouse is over this text, you can't see anything, and that's because in the styles we've set the display to none by default. So we'll be using JavaScript to manipulate that and show the user based on the event, the mouse over event. So now, all right, let's start from scratch. So I'll just walk you through the code. So now we've given the main element, the div, an ID of tooltip trigger, and the text itself, the tip that I want to show as tooltip. So let's access that. So const tool, sorry, const tooltip trigger documented get element by ID. So I'm just going to copy this straight because sometimes just miss one spelling and you're just going to be looking for where the error is from. Const tooltip. I think I should just copy this off here. It's ID tooltip. Okay, so now let's access this tooltip trigger dot add event listener. So now the first argument it takes is what kind of events are we looking for. So you can see there are so many events, there are dozens and dozens of events. But in this example, we are working with the mouse over event. So mouse over. Okay, so that's what it's listening for. Okay, so once it listens for that, what the second argument is, okay, we're passing a function of what do we want to do. Okay, this is fat arrow anonymous, I think the ES6 function. So for now, let's just do an alert that says that say elements detected mouse over element, mouse over event detected. Okay. All right, let's see. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now let's display the tooltip itself now. So we have to access the styles in CSS so that we can change the display to block so it becomes visible. Tooltip dot style dot display. Okay, save. So now you'll notice that once our mouse is out, it remains there, which is actually not the functionality that we want. What we want is whenever we hover over where our mouse is over that element, okay, this shows, but once our mouse leaves, this tooltip also disappears with it. But normally, right now, this is the expected behavior. So we are the ones that will now need to set it up and say, that, okay, on mouse out, once the mouse leaves this text, we want this to disappear with it. So for that, I will just duplicate this, Shift Alt down arrow, and you see display none. Then I'll change this to a different event, mouse out. So on saving now, yeah, so it goes out. So this is an example of the mouse over events. If you want to add like an additional information on something, or you want to just want to display something when a user moves their mouse over an element or group of elements. Okay, so like I said, the code will be available in the description below, so you can just check it out on GitHub. Okay, so let's go to the second example. Application menu. Okay. All right, so in this example, it's also very simple, basic, and just straight to the point on what we're doing. So this is a navigation menu that contains one list, one menu item, which is a product, and it has a sub menu of electronics, cooking, books. So whenever the user comes to the menu and moves their mouse over that menu, a sub menu items is displayed. So right now, as usual, it has been set to display none. In the styles, display none here. So using our add event listener of the mouse over, we'll be setting it the display to be visible. All right, let's just copy this straight. So we move into index. All right. So let's say const menu item, or let's just use the camel case. Item is equal to document dot. Okay, let's use query selector since we added a class dot. Okay. Let's just duplicate this. Shift Alt down arrow for Windows. This will be the sub menu. What is this again? Yes. Okay. Alright, so let's do the same thing, and we add an event listener that listens for the mouse over event to the menu item. Dot add event listener. Okay, what does it listens for? mouse over. Okay, so let's same thing, alert menu is active. Yeah, okay, that works. So we can proceed. Okay, so now let's make the sub menu visible. Say sub menu, then we access the style dot display block. Okay, let's say yeah. So as usual, it's we need to add the mouse out event listener, in conjunction to the mouse over, so that once the user navigates out of that element, it actually also disappears with it. So let me duplicate this, shift alt down arrow, Windows, and we say we change this to mouse out, none. Okay, so let's save. Let's try this one more time. Yes. All right, so this is an example of for a navigation menu. So you can have series of menus, series of menu items, and whenever the user navigates over each of those menus, this can be products, others can be services. It just gives you a drop down, a list like this. So obviously you style it better for it to look, appealing. All right, so let's move to the third example. Okay, so this a form field assistance is maybe you have a situation whereby, as the users are entering a kind of like a password, you have a set of combinations, and before they kind of like start typing in, you just want to have like a want them to know what is expected of them to write. Maybe they need to have, uppercase, you need to have a combination of numbers and letters, special characters. Once they just hover into this input before they start typing, it shows. So right now, just one input, basic, the form, password, the input. Now this is the span of where um, the information will pop up. So right now it's empty because I was like, I'm going to add it in JavaScript so that we'll just see that. Let's do something different this time around. Password hint. So the first one, the ID is for the input, password field. So as usual, display none. So this is the text that is going to be displayed once the user moves over the input. So const password field is equals to document that get element my ID. Okay, next one, password hint. Okay. Okay, so password field dot add event listener, as usual, mouse over. So in upcoming videos, we'll be talking about a lot of this. events and see their use cases and how to use them in real life applications and scenarios. Alright, so I'm just going to go straight to the point this time. So password hint dot let's add this text to it now. Our text content is equals to hint, then password hint the style dot display. Okay, block. Alright, let's save and let's see, and voila. So before the user starts typing, once they hover over it, they see password must be at least 8 characters long and include a number. So they can just have that info ahead. So now let's make that display none once the user mouse out. So mouse out. Let's move this display none. Okay, yeah. So you can do this for different fields and inputs, and change what's going to be in the hint. All right, so that's it for this examples. So on our website we actually have, so this is kind of like the examples I will give now. So this is the code. You can actually come over here, copy the code, and this is how it looks like. This is like a result of how it looks like on this code. So this is the tooltip that we just did. Okay, hover over me, additional information, very easy. Copy the code to clipboard, paste it in your project, edit some stuff. The HTML and CSS codes will be available in the description below, so you can just link to the GitHub. So one thing about Filetum is we try as much as possible to go in depth and explain things further. So you can find like exercises here whereby you can just challenge yourself and put your skills to the test and see what you can do. So here are those 3 basic questions. Okay, question 1, change the background color on mouse over. So this is the task: create a simple web page when a user hovers over the div, and the solution is on GitHub. So the solution here might not be exactly as what you have if you decide to embark on this exercise, but it's just going to be like a guiding block for you. The main thing is the end result. Does your background change on mouse over? So the HTML and CSS might be different on how you use it, but you can just check it out on GitHub. The code will be there. So also we have quizzes. You can check out some quizzes on mouse over. So here you can just test your knowledge and sharpen skills and just reinforce what you've learned on mouse over. So like this is kind of like a basic mouse over event. What is a great way to add mouse over events to a div element that has an ID of my div? So these are a series of options for you to check, and then you can just click on this and it will show you the answer, but I don't want to be a spoiler, so I won't click on this, so you can check it out and see your answer by yourself. So it's just 5 quiz and you can just check it out. So you can also check out the differences between mouse over with mouse enter, mouse move, and hover, because a lot of devs actually use them interchangeably, but they kind of like they are unique in their own ways and they serve distinct purposes and actually behave differently. So you can check out the differences so you better understand the scenarios when you need to apply mouse over mouse enter, over CSS hover. Yeah. So in this section, this does um shows you how the add event listener for mouse over is actually being written in different frameworks like React, jQuery, Angular, Vue, Svelte. So literally you can just check them out and see how it's actually written depending on in the framework you're using. You can just copy, edit this and see how it's going to look like in your project. So jQuery, Angular, Vue.js, Svelte. So yeah. So thank you for watching this video. And upcoming videos for the mouse over for the events, JavaScript events series, we'll be talking about a lot of all these events and the use cases and how you can use them in your project. So thank you, and if you like this video, kindly like, subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.